Welcome to the MEIRPro Evaluation presentation for the first year of the project 2016-2017. In this evaluation overview, I want to discuss the recruitment and strategies for recruitment, summer coursework, field placements for the professional interns, and baseline data that were collected from the teacher candidates at the beginning time point of the program prior to summer coursework beginning, or actually right as summer coursework was beginning, as measured by the Mathematics Teaching Efficacy and Beliefs Instrument, the MTEBI, the Attitudes Toward Teaching Mathematics Inventory, the ATMI, and the Troops to Teachers Survey, TTT, and follow up and conclude with recommendations for the coming year and the coming years of the program. So recruitment was a big challenge, which was not a surprise going into the project. In fact, the project was put on hold for the first year due to just difficulty recruiting veterans that were interested in becoming mathematics teachers and being local to Mercy College and the greater New York City area. There were lots of strategies for recruiting teachers, job fairs, veterans fairs, networking with veterans organizations, radio and TV interviews that Dr. Farber did, social media strategies that I tried to tweet and Facebook post on getting the word out. And in total, five teachers were recruited for the first year, yet the goal was 10 teachers for this first cohort. Into October, into the professional internship phase, one teacher dropped out, leaving 4 teachers currently on track to complete their first year of the professional internship, and they will be finished this summer after their summer coursework. It remains a challenge, recruiting does. In the coming years, recruiting is going to remain a challenge, if not more so. Yet success begets success, and so as word from this project and the success of this project gets out, my assumption is that more individuals are going to be interested in pursuing this project and pursuing a career in mathematics teaching upon leaving the military. So strategies that I would recommend are continuing with the similar and the same venues for teaching fairs and veterans fairs and job fairs and so forth, and actually adding more social media broadcasting and sharing through both college-wide accounts and personal contacts, for example, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So for the summer coursework, during the summer, the first year of summer, students take introductory graduate level coursework prior to beginning their professional internship. These are courses such as Foundations in Education, Math Teaching Methods, Special Education, etc. And then during the second summer, after they've completed 1 year of their internship, there are additional graduate level coursework that is taken, such as reading and writing in the content areas, math problem solving, educational psychology, adolescent development, etc., which completes a 14-month program for these interns with both coursework as well as 1 full year of professional internship experience in a classroom, in fact, in Yonkers. So baseline data that was collected was using these 3 instruments, the ATMI, the MTEBI, and the TTT that I mentioned before. These are widely used, reputable instruments. They're reliable, and they're really used to measure mathematics efficacy and attitudes toward both mathematics and towards teaching mathematics. So beginning with the ATMI, this was measured during the spring, immediately prior to summer courses. Actually, I believe it was administered during the first week of summer courses for the first cohort of students prior to being in the classroom for their professional internship. The ATMI measures 4 subscales: value, self-confidence, enjoyment, and motivation on a 1 through 5 scale. These are self-reported rankings by the candidates themselves. And the one figure that I want to point out is the self-confidence level. 3.76 out of 5. I say here it warrants a little bit of further discussion, and we'll see this self-confidence number also come into play with the MTEBI figures as well. It's something to consider. It's maybe something to even discuss during a course. How do we get prospective math teachers more confident in their abilities to be successful in the classroom? This is a challenge, but it's especially a challenge prior to them being in the classroom, even for their professional internship. So it may not be surprising as a figure at this point in time. However, it is probably something that does need to be addressed within coursework. Moving on to the MTEBI, this measures two subscales. Personal math teaching efficacy, which is basically a math candidate's success in their beliefs that they will be successful. So this was roughly 4 out of 5, which is on the agree side of the scale to all of the different statements that they had to address within the instruments. And then the math teaching outcome expectancy, the MTOE, this actually measures how successful math teacher candidates feel that they will be in their students' success. So it measures a slightly different aspect of teaching efficacy. And this, again, was roughly 4 out of 5, so it's on the side of agree with the statements. I don't think there's anything necessarily to worry about here, but some folks say that the personal math teaching efficacy subscale on the EBTEBI is equivalent to math teacher candidates' self-confidence, and so that harkens back to the self-confidence subscale on the ATMI. So again, this might be something to consider and to take a look at with maybe a stress point in one of the summer courses. Then the Troops to Teacher survey. This was quite a substantial survey. There were in the neighborhood of 70 or 80 questions on this. And this is a survey that has been developed that is specific to returning veterans, and in this case going into mathematics teaching. So I wanted to state a few highlights here, namely that every candidate that was recruited is a male. 80% of the candidates that were recruited this year for the first cohort are from a minority or ethnic group, compared to actually 10% of the overall teaching workforce. So in this case, in this cohort of individuals, even though it's a very small number of individuals, this is really addressing a lack of diversity in the overall teaching workforce. So this is a very good thing. 100% of the teachers were placed in their professional internship in an urban environment. In fact, this was the partnership with the Yonkers Public Schools. 80% of the math candidates stated that the number one reason for going into teaching was that they wanted to add value or significance of education to society. That's a pretty decent reason to go into teaching. All of them state that they are satisfied with the relationship with their students. 80% state that they favor higher education standards and higher standards for high school graduation. All of them state that they favor more integration of technology into math teaching, and all of them state that they will remain teachers in 5 years. So these are all fairly positive discussion points that the candidates mention it. And again, this is just at the beginning of when they started their graduate coursework in the first summer. So my analysis and summary for this first year is that in general, recruiting is the biggest difficulty. It's going to remain difficult. We assume this is not an issue with this program in particular. This is an issue with many noise projects in particular. There is the requirement that the teachers teach for multiple years in a high needs district after they complete their program in exchange for accepting the scholarship and stipend money. This is a barrier that is very difficult to get around. In fact, I've spoken with NSF about this at a conference, and they are aware of the difficulty, and yet we do have to remain constrained to this requirement. So the strategy that I would recommend for recruiting in the upcoming years is to continue the current efforts but implement more social media. The coursework during the summer and during the academic year is very strong and appropriate. The ATMI data looks at self-confidence issues and methods of addressing shortcomings. The MTEBI data looks at the personal efficacy and the outcome expectancy. They're about mid-range, and in fact, we see the same self-confidence issues that arose from the ATMI instrument as well. The data highlights from the TTT survey is that we have high minority participation. The internship experience in urban areas is very strong with Yonkers, and the candidates favor high standards, more technology, and they envision that they are going to remain teachers long term. And that's the end of this. And